Week 1, Joe Burrow. Week 2, Kenny Pickett. Week 3, Ryan Tannehill. Week 4, Lamar Jackson. Week 5, nobody. Week 6, maybe Trey Lance, maybe Brock Purdy, maybe Sam Darnold. I have no idea. Week 7, probably Gardner Minshew, but there's a chance Anthony Richardson could be the starting quarterback by that point. Week 8, Geno Smith. Week 9, Kyler Murray. Week 10, Lamar Jackson. So 2 mobile quarterbacks back to back. Or actually 3, because you could call Geno Smith a mobile quarterback. So that's 3 mobile quarterbacks right in a row. Week 11, Kenny Pickett. Week 12, Russell Wilson. Week 13, Matthew Stafford. Week 14, Trevor Lawrence. Week 15, Justin Fields. Week 16, probably C.J. Stroud by that point. Week 17, Aaron Rodgers. Week 18, Joe Burrow. What I just listed are the quarterbacks the 2023 Cleveland Browns will have to face. It's a pretty interesting mix of quarterbacks. Of course, you have the 3 divisional opponents with Joe Burrow of Cincinnati, Kenny Pickett of Pittsburgh, and Lamar Jackson of Baltimore. And we know what each of them bring to the table. Lamar Jackson is that mobile quarterback that loves to just run. Although I could see the Ravens opening up their playbook a little bit more and being a little more pass-heavy just because they signed Odell Beckham Jr., they have Mark Andrews at the tight end, and they drafted Zay Flowers out of Boston College, and they have Rashad Bateman, a wide receiver they drafted, I think, last year. So we might see a little bit of a change from the Ravens offensively. We'll see. And then you've got the NFC West. Geno Smith. The Seahawks made it to the playoffs last year. The Seahawks gave Geno Smith a new contract. Is he going to live up to that contract? I don't know. Kyler Murray. Apparently he likes to play video games more than he likes to study film. I don't know what to make of the Cardinals. I really don't. Like I said, for the 49ers, it could be Trey Lance. It could be Brock Purdy. Maybe it's Sam Darnold. We have no idea. And then with Matthew Stafford, he gets traded from the Lions to the Rams, and the Rams go on to win a Super Bowl. Last year, the Rams had a terrible season. Matthew Stafford was injured, so can he have a bounce back year? I don't know. With the AFC South, like I said, in Week 7, maybe Anthony Richardson is the Colts' starting quarterback. Which, if he is, that could be a problem because Shane Steichen is Indianapolis' head coach. He was the offensive coordinator for Philadelphia last year when Jalen Hurts had his amazing run in which the Eagles almost won the Super Bowl. Which, that should have been a holding call. But that's a different discussion for a different day. Plus, the Super Bowl is long over. We're already looking ahead to the 2023 season. So, whatever. With the Titans, I think they'll be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I know they have Mike Vrabel, but other than Derrick Henry, who do the Tennessee Titans have? Nobody. I don't trust Ryan Tannehill as a starting quarterback. He's average at best. I would say he's slightly below average. Okay, I shouldn't say the Titans are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, but I don't think the Titans are going to make the playoffs. I think they might go 8-9 this season. I could realistically see that. C.J. Stroud with the Texans. The Texans are going to be an improved team, but they're not going to be a playoff team. They're not going to be a contender, but I could see them going 7-10, which for them would be a relatively successful season because they've been horrible the past few seasons. Absolutely horrible. And Trevor Lawrence, I think the Jaguars are going to win this division. And I think the Jaguars are going to win the division fairly easily, actually. Because I think Jacksonville has kind of separated themselves from the rest of the division. And I think under Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence continues to take a step forward. And the Jaguars, if they reach the playoffs, they will be a problem again. If I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't want to see the Jaguars in the playoffs. I could see the Jaguars host the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe, in week 2 this season. I'm going to go out on a limb. I know it's only Wednesday, July 12th at 13:17, which is military time. It's 1:17 in regular time. But I'm going to say right here, right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars will beat the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2 of the 2023 NFL season. Yes, I am saying it right here, right now. The Jaguars will beat the Chiefs in week 2. In fact, I will take it one step further. I will say that the Chiefs will lose to 2 out of the 3 kitty cat teams this season. Because I'm going to say the Chiefs will lose at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they will lose at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. However, I think the Chiefs will beat the Detroit Lions in the opening game of the 2023 season. So just to clarify everything, in case you got a little confused, I'm saying the Chiefs will lose to the Jaguars and the Bengals, but they will beat the Lions. So there you go. And then we've got Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Can Sean Payton get Russell Wilson back to where he was when he was with Seattle? I don't know. I'm not sure if Russell Wilson is in the right mindset to get back to his Seattle days. I really don't know. And then all the expectations in the world are on Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. If they don't win the AFC East division title, I think many fans and media experts are going to view that as a failure for them, which I totally understand. Like, you go out and you trade for Aaron Rodgers, and your perception is, we're only a quarterback away from being a true contender. Well, now you got your quarterback, so go out and prove it. So, yeah, it's a really good mixture of quarterbacks that the Browns have to play this season. Oh, I almost forgot Justin Fields. Yeah, we sacked him 9 times last year. We'll see if the Bears improved their offensive line enough to deal with Myles Garrett and his friends. But other than that, I really have nothing else to say about the Chicago Bears. But when it comes to the Browns, I wish I could give you a definitive opinion of, oh, they're going to be a playoff team this season, or they're going to be a below average team. But I have no idea. Because anytime you put high expectations on the Browns, this is what they do. Boo! And fall flat on their face. Remember 2019? We go out and trade for Odell Beckham Jr. We're put on like 4 or 5 primetime games. But instead of living up to those high expectations, what did we do? We went 0-4 against the NFC West. I think we went 2-2 in those primetime games. We might have gone 3-2. I don't remember. And we completely missed the playoffs. I think we went 6-10, something like that. I'd have to go back and look definitively. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. All I know is the Browns did not live up to expectations. And yet, in 2020, during the COVID season, what the heck did the Browns do? They went to the playoffs. And what did they do in the playoffs? They went into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers, which is a rarity these days for the Browns. Because it seems like anytime the Browns go down the turnpike to play the Pittsburgh Steelers at Acrisure Stadium, although I know it better as Heinz Field, it seems like the Browns are leaving with a loss. So for them to actually go in there and beat the Steelers, I was shocked. And then in the divisional round, the Browns nearly went into Arrowhead and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So, the expectations came back in 2021. Everybody was like, oh, the Browns are going to be a playoff team. And what happened? They didn't make the playoffs. They failed to meet expectations. So when you think of the Browns, you think this. It's one of those roller coasters where they go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Last year was a down year. So does that mean this year they're going up? I have no idea. We know definitively that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals are the top two teams in the AFC. I would put the two of them in the big dog category. I would say the Buffalo Bills. I would say the Bills are hovering along with probably the Ravens, Chargers, and Jaguars. I would say they're hovering. And I could probably do the rest of the AFC. Maybe I'll do that in a video later on and do the same for the NFC. Kind of like what they did on Good Morning Football. But if I had to put the Browns in one of those tiers, they're definitely not big dog. I don't think they're hovering. I would say the Browns would go into the to be determined category with the Indianapolis Colts, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Tennessee Titans, along with the Dolphins and New England Patriots, probably. The only reason I'm putting the Miami Dolphins in there is because, yes, they have great offensive pieces with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and their running backs, but I don't know if Tua Tagovailoa can stay healthy on a consistent basis. I just don't know. So because of that, I would say the Miami Dolphins are in the to be determined category. But yeah, I don't know what to make of the Browns. I really don't. I wish like I said, I wish I could give you a definitive opinion of the Browns are going to be an above average team, go 10-7 and make the playoffs. But I can't say that because they could also end up going 7-10 and miss the playoffs. They could end up going 9-8 and be a game short of the playoffs. Or they could go 8-9 and completely miss the playoffs. The Browns are what have got to be one of the most confusing teams in the NFL this season. So when I go to the couple games that I'm going to plan on going to this season, which as of right now I'm planning on going to the game against San Francisco, Jacksonville, and maybe Chicago. Right now that game is listed as to be determined, so don't know what day or what time it's going to be, so we'll see. But the only other game I'm planning on going to is week 3 against Tennessee. As of right now, I'm not planning on going to any of the home games against our division opponents, and I'm not planning on going to the game against Arizona or the game against the Jets. However, I am trying to see if I can work things out to go up to the Pacific Northwest to see the Browns take on the Seattle Seahawks on October 29th. So, the last weekend of October. I would love to get up to the Pacific Northwest for Browns Seahawks. That would be absolutely amazing. I got to see the Seahawks when they came to Cleveland in 2019, and it was absolutely amazing. Other than Seattle beating Cleveland, that was the only bad part of it. But for it to be 4 years later and possibly go up to Seattle, it would be an absolute dream come true. But I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. So that's enough about that. I will say this on the subject of going to other stadiums. Just going into NBA for just a second. My dad and I are on a lifetime goal to see a game at all 30 NBA teams' arenas. Right now we're at 22. We only have 8 more to go. New Orleans, Portland, Memphis, Atlanta, Boston, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Denver. And one thing I've tried to stay consistent with throughout this journey is that I don't want to see the Cavaliers on the road when we go to these other teams' arenas. And the reason is because when we go to these other teams' arenas, whether it was Toyota Center down in Houston, Air Canada Center up in Toronto, of course now it's called Scotiabank Arena, the Bradley Center up in Milwaukee, AT&T Center down in San Antonio, wherever it's been, I want to be able to, include myself into the home team's crowd and support the home team and experience the atmosphere. But I will say, I have seen the Cavaliers twice on the road. Once in Detroit at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and once at Utah when the Cavaliers took on the Jazz last year. But in general, I try to avoid seeing the Cavaliers on the road. I've seen the Browns once on the road, and that was in Pittsburgh back in week 10 of the 2015 season. The Browns got absolutely smashed. But there's a couple games throughout the season that I would love to go see, even if it doesn't include the Browns. Like in week 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers host the San Francisco 49ers. I would love, even though I'm a Browns fan, I would love to somehow drive down the Ohio Turnpike, go to Acrisure Stadium, and see that game. Because, like I said earlier, although we don't know who the 49ers starting quarterback is going to be, the 49ers are one of the top teams in the NFC. They're in the big dog category with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the big dog category for the NFC, I would say, are the Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, I would put the Seahawks in there. And with the Steelers, Mike Tomlin is going to find a way to get his team to finish with at least a 500 record. The dude's never had a losing record in his time with Pittsburgh. Never. He's always had a winning season, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I just think that would be a great matchup to see in person, is 49ers Steelers. I would also love to go down to either Charlotte to see the Atlanta Falcons take on the Carolina Panthers, or go to Atlanta to see the Carolina Panthers take on the Atlanta Falcons. Because I think the Panthers and Falcons are going to be fighting each other for the NFC South Division title. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to a definitive rebuild mode. The Saints are going into their second year with Dennis Allen as their head coach, and they've got Derek Carr as their starting quarterback. But I don't trust the Saints enough, even though the Saints have probably the best defense in the division with Marshawn Lattimore and Cameron Jordan. But I like what Atlanta is building with Desmond Ridder as their starting quarterback. They've got Drake London at wide receiver, Kyle Pitts at tight end. I like the addition of Bijan Robinson to that backfield. And then with Carolina, they came on strong at the end of the season, despite, Baker Mayfield being their starting quarterback, PJ Walker, Sam Darnold, and they went out, trade for the number 1 pick, Granted, they had to give up DJ Moore as part of that deal, but still, they went out and they drafted Bryce Young. So I think the Panthers are going to be a very improved team. So hence why I'm saying I think it's going to be the Panthers and Falcons fighting each other for the NFC South Division title. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Sports Room Talk Show. If you have something to say about this video, write it down in the comment section. If I see something down in the comments, I will most likely write you back. And maybe, just maybe, I might address your comment in a future video. You never know. But until next time, I'm Unger to the Max signing off with a salute to you. And before we go, like I said earlier, if you want to be part of Max Nation, then make sure you punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter. And also, if you liked this video, hit the like button with the Judas Effect, courtesy of Chris Jericho. And make sure you hit the notification bell with a curb stomp, courtesy of Seth Rollins, so that you don't miss future content.